What it is, guys, my name is Swifterrs, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a potential second Easter egg ending or an alternate ending on Revelations. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys some information that is rather well known within our zombies community. This is something that has been talked about for the past couple of days, ever since the release of the Revelations Easter egg ending cutscene, essentially concluding our 8-year-long zombie storyline, concluding our Origins characters storyline. Although it was a very sad time, a lot of people were pretty disappointed with the way that the Revelations Easter egg did turn out, but as I said in today's video, I have for you guys some information regarding a potential second Easter egg ending. Now, as I mentioned before, this has been talked about over these past couple of days. I am not stealing this theory from anyone else, rather, the information that I will be supplying you in today's video is somewhat common knowledge in regard to our zombies storyline. So I'm just going to be going off of everything that I know from our original zombie storyline and incorporating that into today's video. I do apologize for the rather long introduction, but with all of that being said, let's get started with today's video, taking a look at an alternate ending to our Revelations Easter egg or a second Easter egg ending. So as you guys know, with our Revelations Easter egg ending, Monty was able to restore peace to our dimension. However, Monty was very surprised that our 4 characters, after successfully defeating the Shadow Man, were still able to survive within this universe. Monty says that they shouldn't even be here. However, the reason why our characters are still present is because they had the blood vials. After the Zetsubonoshima Easter egg ending, our characters traveled to a different dimension to collect the blood vials, so all 4 of our characters could have them, essentially creating a paradox across our universes, which Monty clearly explains.
You snowflakes shouldn't even still be here. You should be fading out of existence by now. Those blood vials. I was wondering when you'd bring this up. They're from realities we've already closed off. They shouldn't be here. They can't be here. Such a paradox means you're putting my perfect world at risk. You guys and your bloody free will. What to do? What to do?
So obviously, our characters were able to stay in existence within this dimension because they had the blood vials. After the Zetsubonoshima Easter egg ending, Richtofen ensured that the 3 other characters besides himself were able to acquire these blood vials as an insurance policy. However, Richtofen has had the blood vials ever since Origins, which is very interesting. Essentially, he knew that he would need the blood vials at a later point in time, which I'll get to in just a second. Now, going back to the Revelations ending, as you guys know, our characters stayed in existence. They were able to live in this dimension. However, Monty wasn't sure what to do with them. He didn't want them staying in his perfectly created dimension, so Richtofen suggests that Monty send them somewhere else. Monty agrees with the idea and eventually sends our 4 characters to a medieval location, and our characters become Primis.
You could send us somewhere else. Somewhere we've never been. I suppose I could make a little corner somewhere in history. A place where I can dump some of the other shit that I've left over, or I just wipe you from existence. Ooh, hang on. Actually, that all works out perfectly.
So of course, Monty sends our 4 characters to a random place across time and space. It appears to be a medieval location. They are our Primis crew. Monty essentially turns Nikolai, Dempsey, Takeo, and Richtofen into our Primis characters. However, we take a step back to the Black Ops 2 Zombies map Origins, where we can first see this image, our Primis image was found over 3 years ago at excavation site 64 back on the Origins map, so we have known of Primis for a rather long time, and after seeing the Revelations Easter egg ending cutscene, it is all starting to make sense. This is why there could potentially be a second or an alternate ending. So here's the best way to explain it. This is our storyline. Our characters are already set on a predetermined path and they are continuously going in circles on this path over and over again. Dr. Monty is essentially this overlord. He is this god, ensuring that our 4 characters continue to go on this cycle, continue to go on this path in a circle over and over again. Now, the reason why we know, or we can assume, that our characters are on this forever looping cycle is due to a couple of things. The first of which being, Primis was completely predetermined. As I mentioned earlier, we have known of our Primis characters ever since Origins. Origins obviously occurred way before Revelations, and we've known of Primis since Origins, which is extremely confusing because Origins foreshadowed our characters turning into Primis. Not only that, but another thing I wanted to point out, which I mentioned previously, is that Richtofen knew to collect the blood vials. First off, he has had the blood vials of our Mob of the Dead characters ever since Origins. We can clearly see this in the Origins teaser. Not only that, but he clearly knew to allow the other 3 characters to get blood vials for themselves. He knew after the Zetsubanoshima Easter egg ending that a chain of events needed to be set in motion, and that by collecting these blood vials and allowing all 4 of them to have them, this would be an insurance policy and it would create a paradox across our dimensions. Now, whether or not Richtofen subconsciously knew to complete these tasks, or for some reason he could have very well actually knew the true intentions of Dr. Monty this entire time of them eventually becoming Primis later on after Revelations, it doesn't really matter, but what does matter is that this only supports the fact that our characters are on this endless loop, this forever circling cycle. Another thing I wanted to point out is that we actually have a cipher back on Shadows of Evil that can be clearly translated to, although they have found the way, Primis will fail. We have known of Primis since Origins, as I said numerous times. We then come to Shadows of Evil, where we hear more information about Primis, and we learn on Shadows of Evil that although they have found the way, Primis will fail. So they did actually fail. A lot of people were under the assumption that Primis didn't fail because our characters were able to survive in this new dimension. Our characters became Primis. However, that is not the case. Primis did in fact fail, and the reason why they failed is because they continuously get put back in this loop by Dr. Monty. They complete the blood vials, they get them, they come to Revelations, they complete killing the Shadow Man, they get put in this endless cycle back to the medieval times, they become Primis. For some reason, something happens over there, they get sent back to this timeline, they complete this over and over again, and although they have found the way, Primis will fail. Primis did eventually fail by allowing them to succumb to Monty's plan. So the whole goal of our Revelations Easter egg was to allow our characters to break the cycle. That was an Easter egg achievement. However, our characters didn't actually break that cycle because they are continuously going on this loop over and over again. So maybe this second Easter egg on this map, instead of going in this loop over and over and over again, maybe it's time our characters break the cycle. They go on to a new dimension. It's possible that our characters will go in this new dimension over and over again in another endless loop in our future storyline, and maybe in our new storyline, they'll break off. They'll do the same thing that they did in their previous storyline. They're going to complete the cycle over and over and over again in a new storyline and break off, and so forth and so on. I don't know, guys. I know that a lot of people were disappointed in the overall ending of our storyline, in the ending of Revelations, and there is very possibly a second Easter egg or a brand new ending completely breaking the cycle. Maybe our new zombie storyline is a completely new storyline specifically dealing with our Primis characters in a new dimension. I don't exactly know the specifics. I don't exactly know if there is in fact a second Easter egg, but hopefully this Easter egg theory of a second or an alternate Easter egg on Revelations could very well be true. I don't exactly know, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to drop a like down below, subscribe if you're new. I do know that this video was pretty long, and if you guys watched it in its entirety to the very end, you guys are the absolute homies. Please be sure to comment, "I am that duck," the famous words from Dr. Monty, if you guys are watching this video right here or right now. But with all of that being said, I'll be sure to catch you guys later.